Okay, we are live. Good night, everyone. Hello, good morning, whenever you're watching this. Welcome to Wife Her Live. In this segment, I'm so excited about it. We have with us Teneisha Grimes, and I'm just going to go on and read her bio. So, Teneisha is an insight specialist helping new entrepreneurs set their business up for financial success. Her unique approach emphasizes the need for small businesses to use their own data to make smarter decisions. With 10 plus years of data analytics experience in the corporate world, she knows the ins and outs of making data driven decisions to grow your business. You might be surprised to learn the powerful insights you can extract from your own financial, social media, and website data. So, welcome, Teneisha,
Thank
aka
you,
Mini
Susie.
Insights. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much
thank you.
for coming on board tonight to share with us on how to set your small business up for financial success. So, kind of talk us about like your journey, your career journey, and what led you to want to work with small businesses.
Okay, so that's a good question. So let me take you back to when I was on maternity leave. And just before coming off of maternity leave to head back to work in January 2020, I was dreading it. Like, I just did not want to go back to work. And at the same time, I did not want to stay home and look after my child full time.
Wow.
So it's like I felt like I was just at this crossroad of like, well, what do I want to do? Like, and what is wrong with me? Like, I feel like by society's standard of success, like I've made it. I have this good job, I'm well paid, I have my degree, I'm married, I have a child, like, I have it all according to people, but something was just missing. And so I decided that I needed to go on this like soul searching journey. I just needed to figure out what is it I want to do, what is it that gets me excited, and especially too, like my husband's a pilot, and I would get so jealous of every time he has a flight coming up. He's like super excited to go to work. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I want that, like I
Mhm.
want to feel like I want to wake up and feel passionate about what is it I'm going to do. So I started to basically be more aware of what are the things that actually excites me, what gets me going, what energizes me. And more as I was starting to connect the dots, I realized that I really have a passion for just helping people. Like I just like giving back. I just like hearing people say, "Oh, thank you so much. That was like really helpful. You just saved me," or like then I realized too that I actually do like my job. Like I like the work that I'm doing, but for some reason I'm just not fulfilled at work itself. And when I took a stop to understand why, I realized that it really was because I wasn't feeling like I was making a difference. I wasn't having much of an impact. And like being in a large corporation, I would spend hours working on analysis or something, and I'll come up with these great insights that I know could help the business or that I know could actually help our customers. But then, with politics and all
Yes.
sorts of
Mhm.
red tape that you have to get through, most of the times, like it would get shut down or, like nothing becomes of it. And so I just feel like, then why am I doing this? Like, I'm just working for what? Like, just to get a
Mhm.
paycheck at the end of the day. Um, and so I said, you know what? I actually had some friends who had started their small businesses, and I just kind of reached out. I knew some of them were struggling, and to the point that they're just trying really hard to even just get sales, and nothing's working for them. And I said, I maybe if I just partner with them, just try and understand what some of their challenges are, maybe I could actually help.
Yeah.
And just from doing that, like I started with a simple question as, do you even know if you're profitable or not? And you would be surprised how many small business owners don't even know that. Like they
Mhm.
are running their business and they've never actually stopped to check to see how much money am I bringing in? how much money am I spending, and what's the difference between the two. And it blew my mind that
Wow.
this wasn't something that came naturally to some people. And I realized when I tried to understand why, it was because for a lot of those ones in particular, they were intimidated by numbers. Like they hated math in school. They're like anything to do with business, that's just not them. But they're really creative people. They have these very unique gifts, and you know that they could really make a difference in the world, but they just they won't do it if they don't get the business side of it right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just from partnering with them and helping quite a few of them, that's how I started to really understand what are some of these challenges that small businesses face. And I realized that a lot of the things that I'm doing at work could
Mm-hmm.
really be overlaid with what they're doing, just on a much smaller scale. But it's still the same concepts. It's still the same idea of using data to drive your decisions, like not making decisions based on you just feel like this is a good thing to buy, this is a good idea, so I'm just going to try it
Mm-hmm.
without doing any actual math behind it and see, does this make financial sense. And yeah, so that I started off by just working with a handful of them. I still work with a handful of them today, on a regular basis, just because it helps me as well to kind of learn. And honestly, I think that's the thing that's really giving me purpose right now. Like it's making me feel so fulfilled at the end of the day, even though I still have my full-time job. um I just look forward to that.
You
and
look
and
forward
so
to
I
helping
start.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. And I started the mini insights to scale that, to basically see how many more people can I actually help? How many more people are in this exact same position who are running businesses, not paying attention to their numbers just because they don't like math or they just feel overwhelmed by it. I want to show them that it's possible, like it's okay. It's not as hard as it sounds. Like, not because you sucked in math in school means that like you can't understand the business side of your business. And yeah, so that's kind of what led me here. And
Yeah, I mean
I'm
that's
really.
great. It's important to find purpose. That's how I got started in doing so much. I still also work my 9 to 5 as well. But I want to know, like, where do they start? Like, I don't know numbers. I hate math. Where do I start with this whole thing to right size my business?
um So I would honestly say that very first thing is like you just need to get it down on paper. Start tracking that. What
Yeah.
are everything that you've been spending money on? What it And I did create a free guide. It's on my website, to kind of walk them through that, because a lot of them too, they don't even like spreadsheets. So I created a guide that literally walk you through step by step how to create this spreadsheet and how to enter the information that you need, your income and your expenses.
Mhm.
And there's a very simple formula there that I tell them exactly what to put and how to do it. And it just shows you right now, are you making a profit or not? And what is that number? And if you are not making a profit, then you get to understand, okay, this is how much I need to make to actually break even, first of all. And go from there. But in terms of where to start, basic is just getting that down on paper or some kind of tracking um, mechanism, tool, whatever it is, whether it's an app. You need something to actually start tracking this. You need to be able to see how much money you're spending and how much money is coming in. That's
Yeah,
a
because
very basic number that I would say every
definitely
small business should be looking at.
it's profit minus cost equals revenue. Which, no, revenue minus
Revenue
cost
minus cost equals
equals
profit.
profit. Exactly.
Exactly.
So that
Yeah.
is your equation that you need to make sure that you know what you're doing. But someone said you're so smart. So I want to backtrack a little bit because I didn't say how I knew you, and I know you as Minnie, hence why all of her ventures are called have Minnie in front. We won't explain why. But I met Minnie in university. We both went to the University of Waterloo for our undergraduate degrees. She was absolutely brilliant. And what did you study, Minnie?
I study actuarial science and statistics.
And
That
then
that
you
was
went
my
on.
double major.
Exactly. So you guys, this is someone who loves numbers. And then you went on to do your master's. And what did you do your master's in?
I did a master's in management analytics.
Exactly.
Uh,
So, and not only that, she has worked for some major corporations. So she has the educational backing, she has the experience, and also the heart. And I think those three combined are major. And so we see nothing but success for your business. But I
oh,
think
thank you.
so a lot of entrepreneurs, they kind of have, well, let's talk about product-based persons. They have, and even like service-based, but let's specifically focus on product-based. They don't know how to price. You know,
Ooh.
what margin should I do? Some people say 20%, 25%, and a lot of things go into actually figuring out that percentage. So can you kind of walk us through like how would you price a product-based business?
So that's a whole lesson in itself.
Exactly.
And that's really not just a simple answer to that. But I would definitely say that starting point, like I talked about, is even just understanding what is the cost of making one of that product. And if you understand what the cost of making that product is and get a sense of what the market price is like, then knowing the difference between the two give you a sense of how much profit you could potentially make on it. But when it comes to actually putting a price on your product, I I don't necessarily think you have to try to do what the market does. Like your price doesn't have to reflect what the market price is. I think there's a lot more that goes into how it is you're differentiating your product. And something that people need to always keep in mind is that is perspective. So you could actually price your product a bit too low that it might come across as a cheap product. And somebody might price their product much higher than yours. And the initial perception that people get is that, well, that's a premium product. And you have to try and find that balance. So, like I said, there's a whole lesson in pricing. So there's not one right answer to say like there's an exact formula. This is exactly what you need to do to price your product. But definitely the things you have to focus on, you have to definitely know what does it cost you to make one. Like
Mhm.
start there. What does it cost you to make one of that product? And
The unit
what does
price.
exactly the unit cost?
Mhm.
And then what um what is the market price for products like yours? And try to understand how are you differentiating your product and what would people pay for that. So typically you could find that out by doing surveys and things like that, but don't take their answer at face value because people will never tell you the true value that they would pay. They would always understate it, always. So
Mhm.
but just doing some of those things can kind of give you an idea as a starting point, like this is maybe where I should start. I definitely don't recommend just looking at what the market is doing and then choosing the lowest price because you want to make sure that your product gets sold. So now you're competing on price. And definitely that's when you're starting your small business. Like you don't want to start off competing on price. You're a small business. You don't compete on price. Your price needs to reflect your value. It needs to reflect what exactly are people getting from you? Like, why do they want this product, basically?
So would you say compete on value and not price, or don't compete, period?
Um, I mean, you do have to compete at the end of the day, but I think at the end of the day, you're staying in your own lane. Like
Mhm.
you need to focus on who exactly are your customers and what is it that they want. What is it that your product is doing different to somebody else? And because there are two people who could sell the same type of product, but that product would resonate very different with different people. So it focus on exactly who you are targeting.
Mhm.
And that's where I would say that you're not exactly competing if it is you feel like you found your specific niche, you know who your audience is, then you're not like focusing on what your competitor is doing. But you still need to be aware of what they're doing, if you know what I mean. But you're not gonna be don't be competitor obsessed, be customer obsessed.
Yeah,
basically.
that's a good one.
Don't focus on the fact that okay, your customer made this and they lowered their price or they increased their price, so that's what you're gonna do. Like that you're already setting yourself up for failure. Like that's not what you should be doing. Your entire focus should be on your customer. What exactly does your customer want from you? Like what makes you different? And that's where I would say that's where you should be focusing basically. That's your competition with yourself.
Yeah, I love that. Like focus on your customer, be customer focused. Like I recently launched a boutique and I made tons of little mistakes. Ordering the wrong box sizes, not properly weighing items. And so the shipping cost, like what the customer paid, would have been less than what I paid for shipping. And so these
Mm,
little things that, in a rush to just get started, you kind
yeah,
of, drop the ball on stuff. Like I have to make sure I have all my receipts together because I need to be in a position to, fill out that Excel that you have on your website, which is where I'm tracking. Like even if my shop pulls it into there, I need to be tracking what I spent, the price of it, and including all my costs, my Shopify costs, my web,
exactly. All those
the
costs.
shipping, all of the
I'm
sourcing
happy you mentioned that because people seem to think of that the only cost they need to factor in is the
product.
cost of the product. But no, all of that takes you have to take that into consideration. If it is you created a website, if it is you've been paying for ads, like all these things are costs to run your business, and all of that should be factored in to know if is this even making sense? If you have to be doing all this and you're still not getting anywhere, then there's something's wrong. Like your numbers are telling you that you need to go do something different. You need to figure something out. But you can't just keep making these decisions because you feel like this is the next best move. Like
Yeah,
you,
exactly. And
yeah,
some people they invest every dollar right back into the company because they feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. I can't pay myself yet, but let me reinvest it. And so they don't know what their money is really saying to them. They don't know what the numbers are saying because they're like, okay, just reinvest, reinvest, reinvest. So
yeah.
that's product
But
based.
it's funny because there's some people too who aren't even reinvesting. They'll get money from a sale and they'll take that money from the sale and they'll go and pay their phone bill or
And your website is
the insights.com.
www.theminiinsights.com. I just posted it in the chat for
It's
people
just
who want to.
a one page website right now just to get started, but there will be hopefully more content and everything to put up soon. It's just a quick
Functional.
introduction. It's
Yeah, and I
functional
really
at
love
the moment.
when you sign up to our website. Minnie does these. What's the frequency? Is it weekly?
The
The
email?
emails.
Oh, yeah, if you get on my email list, you'll get a weekly email from me. Yeah.
Yes, and those emails are very helpful, very detailed, very personable, and I love reading them. I don't read all of the emails that I subscribe to, but I make sure I read the one from the Mini Insight. So that tells you a lot.
Aw.
So it definitely is value add. Like I subscribe to stuff and unsubscribe all the time. I'm like, you emailing me too much, but I love your emails. And so let's talk about like service based. Like I also run a service based company, Heaven Center, and it relies so heavily on me as the only individual. It's a wedding coordination company. And every so often you think like, how can I scale my small business? How can I scale my service based business where it relies so
Mhm.
heavily on me? And like I have like there's some ideas generally that I can throw out there would be like you extend it to different services, like you sell items or you sell a course or you sell a book. But in terms of like from a numbers perspective, what advice can you give in terms of I want to scale my business? Am I ready to scale my business? And does scaling only mean like adding a team member? Like what do you think when you think scaling, and when you have a client who says I'm a small business, it's just me, but I want to scale, I need more money.
Um, well, I feel like you touched on quite a few of it already when you talked about like, doing a book or running a course or all of that. So from a numbers perspective, once again, for you to even be thinking about that, like you have to be showing that your business is already profitable. And
Mm,
if you're able to show that it's already profitable, then with that profits is what you'll be now thinking about, okay, how much of this can I actually use to pay somebody else to help me? That's probably where you're going to get into getting a team or getting help, or are you even paying yourself, first of all? That's that's great, Whitney. Um, yeah, are you even paying yourself? And if it is that you're not even paying yourself, then it's kind of hard for you to even be thinking about getting somebody else on board to help you scale this, right? So at the very basic level, you have to even first figure out, is this business profitable as it is with you as a one-man show? If it's
Mm.
not, then it doesn't make sense for you to be thinking about scaling something. If you can't get this profitable as a one-man show, then you
It's like
shouldn't
a
be thinking.
hobby.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
hobby,
essentially,
exactly.
yeah.
And it's now worth looking into how, like, you probably just have to change your strategy altogether. Like, what is it that you said you provide? Like, what exactly is the actual service that you do? Like, how do
Me?
you,
Oh, in
yeah,
general.
how do you,
Oh,
yeah,
I if I coordinate a wedding, I'm helping them through the wedding planning process. I'm with them all day, stuff like that. So it's really labor intensive. And so for
right.
something like that, like I definitely would need. I do often work with a team, so. But I
Oh,
mean,
you do often work with.
yeah, but I mean, if you wanted to scale, like get
So
into
is it
education,
possible for you to think about doing like group coaching when it comes to that? Like,
yeah.
or what?
Yeah, possibly, but I don't do any coaching yet. That's a whole other thing. She's gonna try to live
Uh,
consult me, which is awesome. When I'm at that stage, I'll come back to you, Minnie. Definitely, definitely. But so
No,
we talk
but
a
well,
little
like
bit.
then the reason I mentioned
Oh,
that though is like, because that's another thing to consider. Then, if the service that you're offering is a one-on-one service, and you're just thinking, how can I expand this?
okay.
Like, maybe think broadly, how can I now get to service more than one people at the same time? So that's why I asked if it is that you could do some kind of group
Oh,
coaching.
yes, yeah.
But yeah, so the idea is that, if it is you're not ready yet to hire somebody else, think about how can you maybe change up your business strategy in a way that you don't have to really be doing this one-on-one. You could find a way to service more than one people at the same time, and it might just mean creating some kind of group package or whatever, where you're providing the service to a group of people, whether virtually or in person, or different ways of just doing it as a group. So now
Yeah,
you have more than one people paying you, but it's just you. It's just one you. So
definitely. So we talked product based. We talked a little bit about service based. Now let's talk in general. What would be three things that I'm a small business owner, that I need to do to make sure that I'm on the right track for financial wellness for my company?
okay, yeah, very good question. All right, so I would say the number one thing, which I think we touched on already, is you have to get super clear on who are your customers, like
Mm-hmm,
crystal clear.
mm-hmm,
Who are your customers? I think one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of small businesses doing is that they have this great business product, this idea, this service, and they just assume that it could help everybody, or that everybody wants this, whether it's a candle business, or they're selling jewelry, or even clothes or anything like that. They just assume that, all my friends should buy from me, all my family members should support me, but it doesn't work that way. And if you've set up your business just assuming that everybody's going to buy from you, then you don't know who your business is for.
mm-hmm.
So I would say the number one, the very, very first thing you have to do is get very clear on who your customers are. And this is something that the large corporations do, because even in my role, I do things like a customer segmentation analysis. And the whole idea behind that is that we are specifically trying to identify who are the different types of customers that come to us, and how do each customer behave. What are the different attributes of each customers? What age group are they? What life stage are they in? Are they going to retire? Are they newly weds? Like, just you getting very crystal clear on who are these different customers, because now it helps you to market to them differently.
Mm-hmm.
When you know exactly who they are, why it is they're buying your product or service, then you could speak directly to them. to get them to take your product, to take your offering in general. So yeah, so number one thing is get very clear on who your customers are. Number two,
Mm-hmm.
I would say is we touched on it already, is now the tracking of your revenue and expenses.
I'm
Are you
here.
there?
No, I'm
Oh,
here.
all of a sudden I saw just my face was like, whoa, I'm taking over the screen. Um, Yeah, so start tracking your revenue and expenses. If it is you're not doing that yet, like that is, I don't even know how many times I need to say that, but it's extremely critical that you are doing that because you need to know where your business stands financially right now. Um, you need to have a sense if you are actually making a profit or not. You need to know how far are you away from that, and is it realistic given the products that you have available right now, or given the number of customers that you can realistically see or provide a service to, could you ever actually make a profit? So you need to start tracking that for sure. Next, I would say start setting monthly financial goals. Zemi feels so weird that I'm just watching myself.
I'll come back when you finish this question. I promise.
Yeah, so start set monthly financial goals. And by setting these financial goals, it gives you a sense of you can now calculate how many sales do you need to meet those goals on a monthly basis. And just from knowing that number, you are able to strategize, to figure out what do I need to do to actually get those sales. Um, and next, I would say you definitely have to open a business account.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing that I know a lot of small businesses take for granted. They probably just assume, well, I'm not really a business yet. I'm just starting off, so I don't really think I need a business account yet. But when they don't have a business account, what they're doing is they start to mix their personal finances with their business finances, and everything just becomes one. And that's why I was telling you earlier that for some people they might make a sale today and they take the money from that sale and they go and they pay their phone bill, or some bill that needs to be paid, or they go and buy new shoes. And that already is setting them up for failure. So at least if you have a business account, you could definitely keep those separate, and right away like what is for the business and what is yours. Um
I'm
oh,
back.
great. Thank you. It was getting really uncomfortable just
I
watching
love it though.
myself.
You look so good. You look so professional on the screen all by yourself. Don't you guys agree in the comments?
Yeah, right.
Someone says, how, let me put this on the screen. Someone says, how soon should I be expected to turn a profit from starting my business? That's a great question.
Honestly, I think that varies a lot by the type of business that you're in. It varies by how much effort you're actually putting into your business. But if one thing for sure I could say, assume in your first year you will not be making a profit. Like in year one, you can assume that you won't be making a profit.
Well, why you have to
Um,
hurt us like this? That's not.
if it is you are, then that's great. But if you're not, then don't feel defeated. Like that's the
Mm,
point of that. Like
yeah,
don't
that's
feel
good.
like your business is a failure because it's not, I don't know if to say if it's not normal. It's not uncommon for businesses to not make a profit in their first year. So if your first year is all about just, building awareness of your brand, or just getting things out there, then yeah, like it's okay if you're not making a profit in your first year. But in terms of when you should be expecting to turn a profit, it honestly, it varies by business, but I would at least hope that if you've been set up for success, maybe by year two, you could actually start to see some good money coming in.
Yeah, and it all boils down to knowing what you invested in your business, so tracking that, and
Hmm.
making sure your expenses are less than that.
Exactly.
Ultimately, so you set your profit margins accordingly to make sure. But even then, like, things come up with the business. We have licensing fees that we have to cover. Like I said, you have to cover shipping supplies. I'm based in the US now, so I'm gonna be hit with some taxes likely, And so
Yep.
all of these things you have to be considerate about. Now, I totally agree with you about that business account because so many people often think, well, I could commingle my funds because it's all my money anyway. I'm paying myself, but
Mm-hmm.
people actually recommend you have a business checking account and a business savings account. And then
Mm-hmm.
obviously there's the legal framework for your business, making sure you have a business license. A lot of people just like to get up and work, which is fine. The government, I mean, not necessarily fine because some businesses you do need a business license, but you're viewed as a sole proprietor and you're
Mm-hmm.
taxed as such, but if you want to make your business legit, you have to go into the business license framework. For me, I created an LLC for my business. Still looking into the actual benefits of that. Obviously there's tax benefits, but I don't live in all of that stuff. But that's this conversation. This conversation is about finance.
Yes.
And I also see a branding question. I want you to know that we have someone talking about branding next week, actually. Next week, Wednesday, we are talking to how to monetize your personal brand. And she is a branding expert. She recently launched a company. And so tune in next week for everything to do with branding. I don't know, Minnie, if you have anything to say about branding.
No, that's such a broad question.
Yeah,
What's your
exactly.
advice on branding? Like, I definitely not my specialty, but if it's one thing I know is that you need to really find what is it that differentiates you versus everybody else about this product or service that you're offering. What is it that makes you unique? And build from that. Like that's your brand. So, but beyond that, I don't have much more advice around that. Not a branding expert.
When you start your company, and this is especially with so many YouTube videos, you can fall into the trap of over branding early on. So, for
Mm.
example, they tell you like, oh, get custom thank you cards, get custom tissue paper, get custom boxing, get custom packaging. And like I tried to do the custom boxes, and I'm like, that's $5 a box. I can't
Mhm.
carry that burden, so that has to be transferred to my customer. Do I want to charge $5 extra? Like, what would I, as a consumer, pay $5 extra on this product? No, I don't think so. I mean, like, that's my personal ethics. So make sure you don't over brand in terms of a new business. I can, go to the post office here and I can pick up post boxes and they're free, and I send the send mail out, stuff like that. I make sure the interior, it's nice, but in general, like the exterior packaging, I'm saving $5 by using a box like that. The other day I went to
Mhm.
Walmart and I could pay $2 for custom mailers, but I went to Walmart and I got it like, I don't know what I paid, under $1. Same,
Mm.
still effective, still effective.
Yeah.
I did do some things like I did custom hang tags. I did like, business cards so I could put earrings on. I did do some custom thank you cards, but I also write thank you notes. So it's like you have to give and take what you're gonna do. I bought tissue paper from Walmart. You could buy it from the dollar store. Like you have
Exactly.
to be sure that you're making sense
A
in terms
financial sense,
make
right?
financial sense in
Exactly.
terms of starting your business because, and I would run myself crazy. It's my husband who had to tell me, put on the brakes. Like, you don't need a $5 box, Demi. You don't need tissue paper with your logo on it, Demi. So all of those things that I had to take into account when you just starting off, and you just hope that people give you grace, that I can't compete with a big brand. Like, someone can scale up and they're ordering 1,000 boxes and they're paying like $2 a box. If I order 100 for my scale of business, I'm paying $5 a box. Does that make business sense for me as someone who's starting out? No, it doesn't. And so you
Yeah.
have to think about those things. And many would have said, don't compare yourself to your competitors, but in terms of that, definitely compare your costs to your competitors. Can I
Exactly.
scale up to that? No, I can't do that. That doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
I
Exactly.
see someone says I was told to publicize my business 5 months before launch. Well, we okay, so you were told to publicize your business 5 months before launch. It depends on what your business is. Um, for example, but it's push and go. Like I know some people who, they said they gave a few months notice to say I have a business. They've been letting people know the BTS, or they've been showing pictures behind the scenes. But I don't think there's an actual, you know, marker in terms of that. But definitely that's not this conversation. I know Thea knows all about that. That's our conversation next week. So again, tune in next week. She is an expert on that, in terms of how to drop images for your branding, how to leverage your current audience for your company. And so all of those things you're going to be discussing next week. Today is
Mhm.
just pretty much finances and setting yourself up for financial success as a small business. And so we do have a question that is up your alley, Minnie. It says thoughts on using savings versus taking a loan to finance starting up a small business.
Ooh. So that's a good one. And I don't know, you might not like my answer, but I strongly do not recommend taking a loan to finance starting up your small business. Like I am a big believer of no debt. If you can create your business from using cash, then you've already been set up for more success. However, if it is you decide to take a loan to finance the startup of your business, you would have had to do some form of analysis that shows you that whatever you're hoping to get back on this in return far exceeds that loan. Like you need to be able to prove that you will at some point be able to pay back that loan and continue to generate a profit. If you cannot show that, then you are forever going to be trying to catch up. You are consistently going to be getting um, sales and just using that sale to pay off this loan, and therefore not ever actually turning a profit.
Okay, I see another question that is again not entirely related to this discussion. What's the difference between an Inc. and an LLC? An LLC is a limited liability company. The way that they're taxed is different. So the way they're looked at is different. And so that is a question we're not answering in any of these lives. But I can write that down as a topic for a later event where we do discuss how to legally set up your company. But really, we're talking about the financial insights. And many, let's go into where to see these insights, your social media analytics, where do we get this data from to really understand how to make our business profitable, how to know what customers we have, and really
Mhm.
to get to that level of knowing who it is that I really need to market to, how I need to market to them, and what it is I'm looking for out there in this sea of information.
Um, okay, so very good question. So one of the first types of data, like we already talked about, is honestly it's that tracking of your revenue and expenses. So just from tracking those, you can pull so many insights out of that. Like right away, you can already see like what is your most popular product that you've been selling, or the most popular type of service that you offer. You could get a sense of how are you performing on a monthly basis, which you could see like seasonality trends. If your business has a seasonal impact to it, is it at this time of the year you tend to have more customers purchasing this particular thing versus another time of the year? um, so many types of insights you could just pull out of just the revenue and expenses information that I'm asking you to track. um, Other types of data, like we talked about, is the social media insights. So there are a lot of people who don't actually know how to take advantage of the Instagram insights or the Facebook insights,
Mhm.
if it is you have a Facebook page. But these insights actually help you to kind of understand, who, well, I think it gives you age group. It tells you which parts of the world your audience is coming from, like the people who are engaging with your posts. I know Instagram in particular shows you like the time of day that most of your followers tend to be on. So
Mhm.
knowing things like that gives you a better sense of, okay, what are the types of posts I need to be putting out? Which posts have been resonating more with my audience? What time of day should I be posting? um, you could get a sense of what else? There is the all the different engagement metrics. You could see the likes and the comments and the shares and just
Mhm,
those very basic
definitely.
things. So it really helps you understand how to market better just from a social media perspective. Um, the next one I would recommend is doing if you have a website, actually signing up for Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is free and you can Google it to figure out how to link Google Analytics to your website. And just from linking that, you get a sense of how much traffic you're driving to your website. You can see right away what are people looking at when they come to your website first. You could get a sense of, are they actually buying? Like what does that pathway to a purchase look like? Uh, all those different types of insights, which will therefore help you to optimize your website, basically.
So I see this question here.
Yeah, so
I have to make
I,
sure that I answer. I mean, I give them their stage.
doing mentoring. I do with a handful of people right now, but as I mentioned earlier, I do have a full-time job, which is very demanding at the moment, and I am therefore not able to sacrifice any more time to take on new people. But what I am doing instead is trying to provide as much free content and valuable information through my emails or through my social media posts. So follow me on Instagram or Facebook or get on my email list. And feel free to DM me or send me an email if you have questions, and I will be happy to respond to you. But I just don't have the capacity to take on any more people where I'm having these, weekly meetings with and holding them accountable and all of that. So it's just only so much time in the day to do that.
Um, so you would have answered this latest question by Andrea, essentially. Are you able to answer this question about accounting software?
Um, Free accounting software. That's a very good question. I actually don't know. I'm not aware which ones are free and which ones are not, but I do know there's a ton of them out there. And honestly, if you just Google it, you could find one. It's just that I think if you're just starting out and you're somebody who's already intimidated by numbers, the feedback I've gotten is that even just using those free accounting software, it's still overwhelming because they're just so lost. They have no idea what the stuff mean. So if that's you, then I don't necessarily think you should start there. If anything, you might want to start off just tracking your numbers yourself. And when you continue to have that much more information, and get an accountant to help you. Um, but prior to that, I
She's
yeah.
no, she's saying Wave is an accounting software, free accounting software.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. See, I didn't even know that. I didn't
But
even
I mean,
know.
if you're just starting out, like it depends on how advanced you are, because like you said, a simple Excel spreadsheet, it really
It,
does the same thing. Because essentially, what are we trying to figure out, right? We're putting in our costs, we're tracking our revenue, we're trying to determine our profit, and so a simple
mhm,
Excel spreadsheet can do that. As you get more advanced, and obviously, some people who really just don't like to configure spreadsheets, they may. I think I play with Wave a little bit, so I have a little bit of familiarity with it, but not to the extent of using it for my business as yet. So,
mhm,
but yeah, definitely, like it depends on what stage that you're at. You may want to outsource completely. You definitely
mhm.
may want to outsource. She said, if you want to just start off with invoices and receipts, it's a fantastic start. So that sounds like it works really well for service-based businesses. So you can
Yep.
look into Wave if you are a service-based business. You said something really interesting when we started the conversation about the business insights that you use, that you've observed that within big corporations, and that these same things can be applied to smaller corporations. So, I mean, smaller businesses. So, what do you think are the similarities between analyzing a big corporation and also like a small business?
Okay, so I think the number one similarity is that at the end of the day, well, a not if you're a not-for-profit small business, and this doesn't apply to you, but basically the big corporations and the small business, their number one goal is to make a profit. Like that's it. They are trying to make a profit. And in order for them to make that profit, data needs to drive that decision. Like hands down, like that's it. That's the biggest similarity. Like data is what needs to drive that decision. Every decision that you make, you need to have some form of number that backs that up.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're just making decisions off of your emotions, and it just might not be making financial sense. um, but when you get into, if you want to get like more specific, when it comes to growing your business and making a profit, there's really two main focuses of how to do that. Number one is getting new clients consistently. And number two is getting your existing clients to be repeat clients. So that's acquisition and retention. Those
Mm.
are the two main ways of growing your business. And that is similar regardless if you're a corporation or a small business. Yes.
I'm just just typing it in
Ac-
there for people. That's awesome.
Acquisition and retention. Yep.
I really like this question here. So, if my business is struggling and I've taken the steps to monitor my revenue and expenses, at what point should I realize it's time to cut my losses and maybe try something else?
That is such a good question. At what point should I realize it's time to cut my losses and maybe try something else? Um, so you're already monitoring your revenue and your expenses, and I'm guessing you would have now known how much you need to eventually break even. If it is you realize that the strategy that you have right now will never actually take you to that point of breaking even, then that's where I say it's time to cut your losses and do something different. This doesn't necessarily mean you have to like shut your business down and go back to ground zero, but it definitely means you have to think about doing something very different because what you're doing right now is not working. So but if, however, you're able to still, yes, you realize that you're not profitable right now, but you can see a pathway to getting there, just with whatever sales you have to make, or if you have some kind of marketing strategy that you know will actually work, and you expect that by doing this marketing strategy, you will generate new leads, new clients, and those new leads or clients should hopefully get you to a profitable position. Then I would recommend pushing on and going for it. But yeah, so if it is that you can't actually show that you will ever actually catch up to to that point, then I think it's time to cut your losses, pretty much.
And like, let's go into what's the difference between we kind of said it a little bit. What's the difference between a business and a hobby? And I know you deal with a lot of artistic clients.
Yeah.
So essentially, like some of them are like, I want to make money with my hobby. I'm really good at drawing or painting. And so, but when do you say like, this is just a hobby for you? Like you're not ready to commit to actual business.
It's a hobby if it is that you're doing this for you. Like
Mm, that's
you're doing this because you just like doing this, but nobody is actually, I wouldn't say nobody, but you're not getting enough of a response or interest in your offering, in this thing that you're putting out there in the world, whether it's a product or a service. If there is not actually people fanning you down and saying, hey, I want what you have,
good.
then it's a high likelihood that you're just doing this for you. You're doing it because you just like doing it, and you're making it this way because that's the way you like it. But you're not actually taking into consideration what is it that your potential customers want? What exactly is that thing that they need that they're not getting elsewhere? but you have that skills and that capability of giving it to them, but you're not giving that to them because you're still so focused on just doing things your way because that's how you like to do it. In that case, I would say that's where it's really a, hob- a hobby.
Thank you. That was a great response. I see another question. In a very small startup where the owner is the only employee, when do you decide it's time to hire additional staff to help? Where should your profits be?
Your profits should be at the point where it could actually pay for that help. So if it is that your profits is only able to, and so there are many small business owners who might say, I could sacrifice for at least another year or so and not pay myself.
Hmm.
Um, but I would much rather pay somebody to get help. And the reason that they have that vision of getting help is because they know that if they have this help, they could do so much more and they could grow this business to be so much more. If you're pretty confident of that decision, then that's where I would say then it makes sense to hire help. And it makes sense to hire the help if it is your profit could actually pay for that help. If it is your profit cannot pay for that help, then you're only just going to be putting on more expenses that you're still not able to pay off with the current sales that you're getting.
And we have to take into account we're still in a COVID environment. Like some people who have like staff during COVID, when you're laid off, that's one thing. But when you have to carry staff on your back during an environment like that, and so I think that caused people to kind of really think about what jobs can I do? What skill sets do I need to have? And should I keep, let go, hire? All of those things have to be put into consideration. I know personally, I do a lot even for White Pearl. Like I could easily pay someone to do, host these or to do our website, but I decided that, we're not profitable. We don't make any income, and so in that sense, I had to, extend myself a little bit further. Things may look a little DIY to some people, but it's effective. And so sometimes we stop ourselves because we think it needs to look all flashy and stuff like that. But sometimes just having it done, completed, up there, running, like Minnie said, her website is one page right now, but it's effective. It is extremely effective. She's a one woman band right now, but her emails are extremely effective. And so sometimes we don't have to have all the glitz and the glam. Once it is effective, up and running, sometimes you don't need help. You can still do it. It just means that you
Mm-hmm.
go to bed a little bit later, but you're saving yourself like, I don't know, 500, 900, $1,000 a week. And so
Mm-hmm.
when you think about that and think about the environment that we're in, it makes a big difference. And so, will you be offering a class in the future? That is a good question. And I actually said to her, I said, Minnie, I need to get you on camera so that you can start to get used to this so that you can do this on your own. So that's a great question. Thank you, Samantha.
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And yes, Zami, I definitely appreciate you even giving me this opportunity to, bring me out here on camera and getting me used to this. Yes, I will be. That is my vision actually, to create a digital course that will be strictly directed to new entrepreneurs and helping them set their business up for financial success by using the data that they already have. So the idea for the course is to go in the ins and outs of the type of insights you could get from your financial data, helping you to understand what some of these metrics that you see on social media analytics, what they even mean when you see words like reach and impressions and conversion rates. What does any of that mean? And yeah, what can you do with that information? So yes, the plan is to create a course for this. But as I mentioned, I still have a full-time job that I'm trying to find that balance between this mini insights and my full-time job to really give more attention to that. So I would like to say for most of this year, to be honest, maybe closer to the end of the year, I might actually have things in place for a course. But for the majority of this year to start off, it will be a lot of me just giving free information and hopefully getting feedback from these entrepreneurs and better understanding what exactly are their pain points, because all these things will help me to build a more effective course and, you know, ensure that I'm answering the right questions in my course.
Yeah,
So
definitely. And I think
my
you should,
goal right now is
yeah.
to just keep giving and keep learning from them as well.
And I think definitely to Samantha's point, I mean, like maybe it's implied somewhere in there. You know, you could jump on video some more, start a YouTube channel, go live just like this, you know, and really
That is
provide
part of
that.
the vision too.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
awesome,
That is
awesome.
I will be trying to be more to go live on my Facebook and Instagram. I just need to like figure out a balance for that as well and timing, but that is the plan. Yes.
We are looking forward to that because you have so many insights to provide. And we
Oh,
thank you
thank you.
tonight to coming on board. You look so great on camera as well. So definitely come on live more. And so like we talked about COVID. And so I know that I saw some businesses fail during this time. I also saw some businesses excel. Sometimes those businesses sold the exact same thing. But I think
Oh,
it may have been a difference in the person. It may have been a difference in the drive. It may have been a difference in knowing my audience or not knowing my audience. Am I still selling like high end clothes to go to or club wear when I should have been selling lounge wear? You know, so it's they sell both sell clothes, but one pivoted to lounge wear, living room glam, and the other one was like I still sell club wear. You know, and so
and I think you just nailed it there. Like that's the key there. It's honestly it's that ability to pivot
yeah.
because and realizing that the world has changed,
Hmm.
customer behavior has changed. Yeah, and it's just trying to figure out like right now obviously online has just boosted. Online traffic is just like through the roof. I'm seeing that in my job, like it's every kind of data there is data all over to show you that people are just more online now than ever. And if it is that your business is not one that was primarily selling, like the focus was not online, you were not marketing online, you were not taking advantage of the online space, then this is where I think you need to learn how to do that. How can you pivot to take advantage of that? Um, and yeah, like you nailed it. Like the ones who I think are seeing the most success are the ones who pivoted. Like
But
that's it.
I have people like some people think I need to bank only on online because online is the future. It's never going to go away, but people still miss the brick and mortar experience. So don't think that as a business owner, I have to be only online forever and ever and ever.
I
Because
agree with you.
even before COVID, with people were moving more to online, but even stores that were online started to create experiences face to face, like the is it called Pentalon, the bike?
Oh, oh my God,
I
why
think
am
so.
I
Anyway,
drawing a
you
blank?
guys know it's the P word. And I
I
think they
know my
started
husband is
to
watching this right now, and he's most likely shaking his head.
they started to do like in-person experiences so that you could interact. Yeah, Peloton, thank
Peloton,
you.
yes.
So that you could interact with the bike, you know, and so even these companies that are very tech focused, like Tesla puts their cars in the mall. You
Hmm.
know, Tesla, like this guy is like one of the richest now, and no one's going to the mall right now, but he saw the benefit at that time of putting the models in the mall so people can look at it and see it, you know, and they sometimes they're stationed out, like you don't know who's driving this, but you see them outside of the mall on charge and stuff like that. So it's creating brand presence. So even though we're moving online, people still want a brick and mortar experience. Sometimes they still want to interact. I was talking to one of my friends today who sells accessories, and she says she gets the most sales not when people see her stuff on Instagram, but when they interact with it face to face, when they get to see it, look it up, feel it, you know. And so that is never going away. That aspect of persons, of personalities, of humanity isn't going
Hmm.
away. So don't just think I
Yep.
need to get online and stay there. No, you know, you have to create experiences around your online presence and think about, okay, when this is over, or even now, how can I engage with my customers and create an experience so that they can interact with my product?
Hmm. 100% agree with you. And I mean, I think the way that many of those businesses who have who wants that interaction, that face-to-face interaction, like they feel like that's better for their business. How they could think of using the online space is more around trying to create that brand awareness. Like that's where I would say that the online would really help you. Like try to get out there and put your brand out there. Let educate people about your products. Like just them even hearing about it, knowing that you exist. When is it, when the time comes that they could actually see you in person and touch your product and test it, then they're more likely to say, oh yeah, I actually read up about this online, and now they're even more interested, and they will they're more likely
Honestly,
to buy.
I bet you $100 that is so far from Minnie's mind right now. But when I watched the replay, I will specifically write down, call that out for you. I don't know if you remember, Minnie. Know your audience, track your revenue and expenses. What was your third point? I know you said open a business bank account,
Business
but
accounts,
I
yeah,
okay,
business
yeah,
accounts. And then I think I also talked about the two ways to grow your business, which was through acquisition and retention.
okay,
So
awesome.
yeah,
And can you
getting new
also
customers
forward
and
your notes to me so I can put them in blog
yeah,
form, please?
I'll have to type them up.
Okay,
Oh,
thank
and
you,
set monthly financial goals. Yep, there
thank
it
you,
was. That's
Crystal.
what it was.
And I see this question from Noreen. How often will this segment be on? So I think if you're interested in this topic in particular, definitely follow theminiinsights.com, where you can get to know everything that Tanisha is going to be offering throughout the year, her course offering when it launches. You can get access to her Excel spreadsheet, you can get access to her email list. But in terms of Wife Her itself, this month, our focus is entrepreneurship. And so we have a series of topics. So today is setting your business up for financial success. Next week, we're talking how to monetize your personal brand as an entrepreneur, as a social media influencer, as an online business owner. And then we are talking about real estate. We had some people who pivoted from their 9 to 5 and they went full time into real estate. We're interviewing someone in that space. And then finally, on the 28th, and you can find all about this at www.wifeherministry.com/events. On the 28th, we are interviewing someone who I spoke about a little bit on this call indirectly, who, she has an online boutique. She's been more profitable than ever in 2020. Like she had to, like her delivery, she had to call UPS twice, sometimes 3 times to get all of her packages out the door. And so we're interviewing her because she is expanding her business. She expanded in a pandemic as a mom, as a wife, and as a boss. And also Minnie is also a mom, wife, and a boss. So I guess that's the theme for this month. So this month in particular, we're talking entrepreneurship. And every month at Wife Her, we have a focus of the month. And so moving back into this topic before we close, I just want to talk about, like, we're still in the pandemic. We're still in this time of uncertainty. And so what kind of things do you foresee that businesses still need to think about and consider as we still walk this thing out? In terms of how to target our customers, what to think about. Is a recession really coming? Is it not coming? What do I need to think about from a business standpoint, from a macro level for my business?
Honestly, I would say it's really how can you take advantage of this virtual world that we're living in. The fact that everything has really shifted to online, how can you really take advantage of this world, this virtual world for your business? And like you talked about earlier, that maybe your products or your products, it would be kind of need that brick and mortar store. It need to have that in-person experience, but it doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of this virtual world to elevate your brand, to make people aware of you, and to already get an experience before they get the experience, if you know what I mean. Like they let them learn more about you. What is it you're offering? Why are you offering this? um, and just really understand who your customers are. Like more than anything, I think this online world is helping you to really get a better picture of that, just from all the free insights that you could get through your social media, through your website. use it, take advantage of those things to really understand who are the people that are taking interest in your product or service, who are the people that's coming to your page and engaging with your posts. You know, what age group are they, what life stage are they in, what problems or concerns do they have that, you know, your product or service could help solve for them. And yeah, that's really what I would say to focus on.
So you would have said something in one of your emails about Apple's packaging and how you so much enjoy the experience with the packaging from Apple compared to a
Oh.
lot of other packages, you know, like all of the I have to cut it open and it's still like there's a box within a box. And so I just was thinking like right now, like I still have to go to the even if my business is virtual, I still have to go to the post office, stand on a line to ship my products. There's still a physical aspect to my company. And so for some people, the only way that they're interacting with your business outside of your online presence is in your packaging. So I want you to
Mm.
just talk about like the way that because I didn't get to ask you personally the way that the experience with this Apple product, what made it so different, what made it so special to say this was a different experience for me, and how can you like translate that to business owners on the line to kind of mimic that at the scale that they can do it.
Are you telling me you've never purchased it? You have an iPad. You didn't buy your iPad from
Yeah, but
Apple?
I didn't. I went there. Like I didn't like have it mailed to me and have an experience of opening it up. You
Uh,
know.
yeah, so honestly, for anybody who's watching, if you've purchased an Apple product and had it mailed to you, everything from just the box that it was packaged in right down to getting to the actual product is so well designed. Like you don't even have to draw for a scissors or anything to open this product. And it it was just amazing. It was just knowing that I didn't have to do, like, I didn't have to go and try and find the scissors or fight up with the box just to get it out. Like, yeah. um so, but to answer your question though, like obviously yes, as a small business, you probably cannot get to that scale of somebody being like in awe of, oh my god, I didn't even have to use a scissors. But at the same time, you can focus on not making this complicated for them.
Mhm.
Like at least try to minimize that stress that they would face, as well as any disappointment that they would face if they open your product. So I think it's just put yourself, the best advice would be to put yourself in their position. If it is you had received this package and you were opening it, what do you imagine that experience to look like? Is it that you would just want to cut open the box and just see it right there on top? Or, you know, are you expecting to see that it is actually safely stored and you knew that there shouldn't be any scratches or dents or anything? If it is you open it and you're just seeing like just shredded paper all over and you can't even find the product, or you know, it just, things are just messy and uncomfortable, then chances are that that's how they will feel. So
Mm,
I would
mhm.
honestly, I think just put yourself in their position and think, what would you like that experience to be like for you, and ensure that you're giving that to your customers. That's it. Yes, you might not be able to get at the level of Apple, which was just amazing, but but still try to at least not annoy your customer. Don't let them be disappointed with it, because as you said, like this is probably that one in-person experience that they're actually getting with your product, and it's your first impression too, right? And first impressions count, like they matter, they last. So you know, really try to make that experience a good one.
You know, one of my issues personally has been like you're starting out, you already invested capital in the business, you're trying out what works. And so upfront is not going to be a good, it's going to be a good experience, but it may not be the best experience because I'm just fresh, you know? And so you deal with that thought like, oh my God, first impressions matter so much. I'm not where I want to be, but I want to get there. Like what a kind of encouragement would you give to an entrepreneur like that? Like, you know, it may not be good right now. Like, what can they do? I mean, for me personally, I try to
Honestly,
just
I
put in a thank you card to say thank you for supporting,
exactly.
thank you for
No,
supporting
and
my small business.
And I think that's what it comes down to. Because at the end of the day, when somebody's purchasing from a small business, like they're not expecting that. They're not expecting like an Apple type of packaging, but they are expecting some kind of personal touch in there. Like I think it's those little cute things that makes them feel seen. They makes them feel like, oh, she really appreciated my business. Like, and it's just yeah, it's putting making that extra effort to giving that personal touch. So yeah, like it's differentiating yourself a little bit. Don't just think, okay, they ordered this blouse. I'm just gonna fold it up, put some tissue paper around it, put it in a box, put the label on it, and send. Like, no, as this person said here, aesthetic is important. Like, and yeah, great packaging also helps the customer to promote your business. So it's just, yeah, make that experience really unique.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Minnie. I am at the end of my questions.
Yeah,
So I
I know.
don't know if we have the audience has any questions that you would like to ask. We can give you a few moments to type your questions. Again, we don't know when we're going to get her on live again because she is, balancing already a client list, trying to get her business off the ground. She also has, how old is your son?
19 months,
19 months. She's still counting months. So
a year, almost 2 years. I don't know. It depends who I'm talking to. For most people, I'll be like almost 2 years. For some people, I'll be like a year plus. And then, yeah, there's some people who actually be like, how many months is that? So I don't know.
he's still a busybody, and you are stretched, and so I want to give you guys the opportunity to ask any questions if you have any questions. But in the meantime, Minnie, you can let them know your details again, your social media, your email if you want to provide your email, etc., with how that they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at the Mini Insights. I also have a Facebook page called the Mini Insights. You can email me at Tanisha at the Mini Insights, or you can check out my website at theminiinsights.com. And on my website, there is a link to a free guide that you can download to get started on tracking your revenue and expenses if you have not been doing that yet. By downloading that guide, you will get added to my email list. If you're not interested afterwards, of course, you can unsubscribe, no problem at all. There's also a link to just get directly on my email list if you want. And there's also another link for a financial template that I've been working on for people who are not actually interested in learning how to do their own spreadsheets. I've done it for you and made it fully automated, uh, but it's not ready to be launched yet. So, and it will be a product for sale. But if you do get on the wait list, when it is released, you will be the first to know and you will get 50% off at the time it is released.
You hear that, guys? That's a sale
Just for
in
being
the
on the
works.
wait list.
Just for being on the wait list. And Minnie and I are going to talk about how to do some stuff. We already
Oh,
talked about
yeah.
how to do some specialized stuff just for the wifer community. So I look forward to us partnering more throughout the year as well. I see a great question about, I don't know, Minnie, if you were familiar with this, strategies for international shipping. I can say, kind of, I mean, she has products. She sells hair products. And so for
Mhm.
you, I don't know if you have a temperature need or anything like that. You definitely need to ship your things as quickly and as safely as possible. One of the things that cuts down on size is using mailers. So bubble mailers versus boxes. That could cut down on price of the shipping. Another thing is using local post. I know she's based in the Bahamas. No one wants to use the local post office for anything, but they do have priority mail. It does work. I tried it. And so that is an option as well. Here locally, I use the local post system. I don't use DHL. I don't use UPS. I use the local post system for cost savings. And so, those are strategies. In the Bahamas, it's a bit different. I know some business owners who actually travel with their inventory to Miami to ship out because it just is more cost effective that way. And so you have to weigh the options for your business directly. But bubble mailers, specifically for you, look at bubble mailers versus boxes and see if that helps at all in terms of operational costs with shipping. What are the major do's and don'ts for financial success as a business, Minnie?
Major do's and don'ts. So major don't is don't mix your personal finances with your business finances. That's the major don't. Like, don't do that. You're already setting yourself up for, I don't want to say failure because you don't have to fail, but
That
you're not necessarily setting yourself up for success. Major do is knowing your numbers, really knowing your numbers, and trying to um, know exactly where you are at always, prof- profit wise, in terms of like we talked about, your revenue and expenses, and making decisions based on your numbers. So for every new purchase that you want to make, think about if this is actually something you really need for the business, because it will turn around and increase in sales or revenue for you. If it will not, then it's probably not an investment that you need to make right now. So the big takeaway there is just knowing your numbers and using those numbers to drive your decisions.
I can talk a little bit because I made some major don'ts in launching my company. So, in launching the boutique. So, one of the major don'ts is buying too much inventory. Not necessarily like I launched a collection called The Wild About You. And so this is one of those in the collection. And it's all about like animal prints, various animal prints. And so I went overboard in terms of I love them, but I got too many different types of blouses. Instead of just sticking to one blouse, one dress, especially as a new business owner. So just going overboard in
Yeah,
terms
so
of
you didn't
inventory.
even test it yet. Like, you didn't even know what exactly people are going to like or don't like. So
Exactly. I
yeah,
didn't
so
know if
I'm
people like
I'm happy
snake
you
print or leopard print or cheetah print, or if they don't
I'm
like it at
glad
all
you
and they just want to see a lion on the t-shirt. I didn't do any of that. And so that was
yeah.
a big mistake. I just went with something I thought would be safe and seasonal. Another thing was, rushing. I wanted to rush and make it before Valentine's Day and have some inventory out there so you could shop for Valentine's Day. Why? Why did I rush? I spent an extra $900 in shipping, from rushing, and I could, knock myself for all
It,
these rookie
all
mistakes.
of, but I feel like all of those, Demi, could have been solved if you were paying attention to your numbers. If you had
Exactly.
actually put that down on paper, you might have realized that, whoa, that's like too much for what? Like, I'm not even sure yet how much sales I'm gonna get from this.
Mhm.
So I probably shouldn't do that right now. So yeah, but I'm glad you called that out because those are actually very common
Yeah,
mistakes.
rushing. Anytime you're rushing, you end up making mistakes. And you have to think about what am I really rushing for? There were times when, like, at least on two different occasions, and both me and I studied math in university, so this is a big no-no. Like, I ordered the wrong dimensions for boxes twice. And it's just
Twice.
about it's twice for two different types of things. So it's just really about rushing, wanting it right now, and not taking time to really be calculated in my decisions. And so, like sometimes we want to get the business out there. We're like, we see everybody else popping up with the business and we want to just get it out there. We want it to be live. And in that rush and in that process, you can make so many mistakes. And I plan to do a video on my personal page about all of the little bloopers and mistakes I made as a rookie in business. Because, like, I also wanted to follow these YouTubers who talk about the things that they're doing in their business, but they are, beyond where I am at. And so,
Hmm.
all of those different things, you have to really take your time, look at your numbers, map out all of your numbers, and think about like how long would it take me to scale this? How long would it take me to make this money back? And
Yeah,
so and what kind of sales do I need and what time frame to make that money back? And all of those things.
exactly.
Don't make any of the mistakes that I made. Sign up for Minnie's email list, get on that waiting list to have a consultation with her eventually. Yelena, that's how you say it, Yelena. She said that she's going to wait until the end of the year for you to launch your channel. So definitely take time and wait. Make these calculated decisions about launching your business.
No pressure, right?
No, no pressure. But thank you so
um,
much. Thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Zemi. This was
coming on
fun.
tonight. This was definitely so much fun. I learned so much information. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Really enjoyed having you all here. I look forward to seeing you next week. Next week, we'll be live on Wednesday at the same place, talking about monetizing your personal brand. So, again, thank you. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. We're at Wife Her Ministry. This month long, we're talking entrepreneurship all month long. So, a ton of tips, a ton of information, and we hope to provide the same throughout the entire year. So, thank you again for joining me, the mini
Thank
insights
you,
in the
Zemi.
house. And I look forward to watching you, excel in your business this year and continued partnership.
Likewise. Keep doing the amazing work that you're doing, Zemi. I'm so proud of you. So keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good night,
All right.
everyone.
Bye bye.